Tea is one of the most popular beverages over the world. It is one of the most important agro-industrial crop, which has been a major contributor to foreign exchange for India. China, Sri Lanka, Kenya and Indonesia are the major competitors for India in tea production. The total turnover of the tea industry in India is likely to reach rupees 3,30,000 million by year 2015 from the current level of about rupees 1,95,000 million. However, the cost of production of tea in India continues to be the highest among all tea producing countries. Indian tea sector needs interventions towards improvement in quality of tea as well as reduction in the production cost to compete globally. This is a story of stepping towards success by changing mindset. We will see how dedicated efforts with right technical knowledge and innovative management practices can bring changes in a well-grown industry. Tea growing regions in India are located at north and south. Depending upon geographical situations, quality and price of the tea differs between northern and southern India. Tea manufacturing itself is an energy-intensive process. Energy costs about 30% of the total processing cost. This film focuses on the economical and environmental changes achieved in South India by following the principle of energy conservation. Orthodox mindset still exists in tea industry in South India.
Tea planting came to South India sometime during the 1870s, and most of the manufacturing processes that were involved were based on the manufacturing practices that the British brought here, and so the missionaries also were brought by the British. There were hardly any local manufacturers of machinery, and we followed the practices that the British brought here.
Planters by nature are a little autocratic because they live in a very remote area. They deal with climate which they don't have much use with, and the labor force is not so educated.
Turning a leaf into a sip is not that simple. Various processes affect the quality and so the price of the tea. Tea industry in South India has seen a bad period. This gave the industry a new lesson.
And in the years between 2000 and 2007, the industry went through some real tumultuous times, because that was the time when the global movement of commodities happened and the prices took a absolute nosedive. And what was a protected industry suddenly got exposed in terms of their lack of competitiveness.
The industry was facing a problem of increased cost of production. On every side, the costs were increasing. Chemicals and fertilizers, labor wages. In addition, there was labor shortage.
So then the planters started thinking in terms of where all they could save costs.
In this period, industry looked deeply into the cost-cutting measures. So they would really look for this sort of projects where it really helps them in cutting the cost.
There was no concentration or there was no mind applied for saving on energy. There's an old saying that a penny saved is a penny earned. Now, as far as energy is concerned, that is the same. A watt of energy, any amount of energy saved is energy earned.
The tea board has always been giving 25% subsidy for the various missions, But it is very amazing that no one ever took any missions which actually reduced the energy consumption, which clearly shows that that was not in the mind of the people.
Barriers to South Indian tea sector. Energy conservation in small sector tea processing units in South India. This project was initiated by the Tea Board to promote energy conservation and energy efficiency and thereby improve competitiveness of the South Indian tea sector. It was supported by the United Nations Development Programme and Global Environment Facility. Technology Informatics Design Endeavour, a non-government organization, was designated as the local executing agency.
TIDE is a not-for-profit society working for the last 15 years at the interface of science and society. We have worked in different industry clusters offering renewable energy solutions. This led us to identify an opportunity for energy conservation in tea industry.
UNDP has been very closely associated with this project in participating in project advisory committees, project steering committees and many other review meetings.
Energy conservation in small tea sector in South India, $950,000 is the total funding. Tea Board of India, that is the Government of India, has contributed equal contribution for implementing this project. We are also linking it up with the other ministries, MNRE, and the state agencies who are giving the subsidies for the various people in this particular endeavor.
The fourth partner was Anna University. This was a very reputed university in South India. Anna University deputed its senior-most scientists to the project. With this, the last piece of the puzzle fell in place.
The project objective was to be achieved through creation of awareness, elimination of financial barriers, adoption of new practices, and knowledge sharing for replication.
It took us almost 2 years to identify how we could overcome this barrier. With lots of studies, discussions, interviews, we realized that what was required was a very competent, committed technical team that would offer technical solutions in energy efficiency.
The project aimed to implement energy conservation measures in at least 30 factories to improve their profitability, with co-benefit of 55,800 tons of greenhouse gases reduction for the project period.
No, I remember when this project first came to us, first of all, it had initially got slightly delayed, but that was probably a blessing in disguise because the industry had been passing through a bad phase before that, and it had somehow come out of that recession. And maybe if it had taken off a year before to then the investments wouldn't have come in. So in a sense, the moment was opportune.
Systematic efforts took the project on the floor in year 2008. But it was hard to change the traditional mindset of the stakeholders.
When we came to know that Tea Board is taking some initiative to help us conserve energy along with TIDE and UNDP and GEF, we were quite skeptical because we did not know what kind of help they could give us.
So definitely when TIDE came in with their suggestions for energy conservation, there was a resistance. We'll humbly admit that.
The project was in an awareness creation and energy audit mode for the first 18 months.
We came to know about TIDE through the Tea Board, and we faintly heard it was an NGO organization. But frankly, we were not very much perturbed what the background of the organization was, as long as their recommendations for energy saving were productive. So once we realized and we got the benefits of their energy saving recommendations, we implemented it. The tea committee of UPASI, knowing the value of this suggestion, straight away recommended it and tried to implement it through its officers in all the 3 states, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka.
And the amount of preliminary energy audit, 300 factories and dozens of final audit, and such wonderful interventions both in thermal and in electrical side, even small intervention showing so many ways in which energy can be conserved. I mean, it's not every day that an administrator and IAS officer like me is able to see the electricity bill before intervention, electricity bill after intervention, amount of firewood bought before intervention, amount of firewood bought after intervention, and finding 25-30% difference. And nothing succeeds like success. Once one factory shows it, then the others, that's a bandwagon effect, and the others follow in.
We have estimated the carbon dioxide mitigation to be about 40,000 tons per year. And if we go by our simple calculation, everybody if implements this, then this would go beyond 1 lakh tons per year, which of course would look like kind of a mind-boggling, but that is the scope available.
The audits included cost-benefit analysis of the interventions, and this basis was used to recommend investments, thus reducing the risks. The sub-projects were divided into electrical and thermal, with more emphasis on thermal, given the poor state of thermal efficiency.
We had formed a group called Tide Technical Team, where we had electrical engineers, mechanical engineers with years of experience and armed with instrumentation. We went to the factories many a time voluntarily also, not necessarily being invited. We went and then with our instruments and the equipments, we showed them where they are, what they can. So the Tide technical team has so far completed more than 100 such studies, and we also established the energy service laboratory where we bought, spending few lakhs of rupees, certain energy conservation equipments.
They came to our factory and they had their instruments and they showed us how we could save energy, and they showed us where the energy was being wasted. This helped change the mindset of many of the tea planters.
A well-equipped energy laboratory was set up in the building infrastructure provided by UPASI, and the laboratory infrastructure was supported under the project.
As you know that there are more than 300 tea factories in South India, and mostly they are using firewood. In order to support the South Indian tea industries, Tide and the UNDP supported us start the energy lab in UPASI. Now the lab is equipped with all the energy conservation equipments. Through the laboratory, now we have quantified all the parameters of the better fuel for the tea industry.
The laboratory also provided some equipments for hire by the tea factories. Recognizing the need to develop linkages with equipment suppliers in the project region and to bring the suppliers and tea sector at common platforms, buyer-supplier meets were organized. Based on the interactions with the stakeholders, financial barriers had to be addressed to encourage owners to conduct energy audits in their factories. This was done by developing a financial model.
We started with audit recommendations, starting with what we call as a nil investment proposal.
Gradually, as the TIDE team slowly explained the advantages of energy saving and how we would be the ultimate beneficiaries, provided we spent money initially. And once we got confidence in them, definitely the change came about.
The project proposed interventions to reduce energy and fuel consumption in various sections of tea processing.
The project had a very effective communication strategy. It began with newsletters published quarterly, reaching to every factory in South India. There were awareness programs, participation in all key activities of Tea Board, including the International Tea Festival and the UPASI annual conferences. In these exhibitions, the energy scorecard, energy efficient equipment, posters on renewable energy efficient lighting, all were demonstrated and people could get a hands-on feel.
The website www.ncont.org was launched to take the movement further. During 118th UPASI annual conference, the project released a video tutorial CD named Destination Efficiency, which detailed the energy conservation measures implemented with the help of the project. The project organized and participated in various events such as the India International Tea Convention, the Tea and Tourism Carnival, UPASI annual conferences, and the International Renewable Energy Expo and Conference. The goal of better economical and environmental condition is achieved in stipulated time.
TIDE came in with a helping hand. To start with, on the electricity side, they touched every aspect from basic lighting. Why are you using bulbs which are consuming so much of energy? Then they went on to the power generation, you see. Are you using the right amount of capacitors so that you can get efficient power? Then it went on to motors. Why are you using V-belts? Why can't you use flat belts? So like that, at each and every aspect, they went into in great detail, and they had the professional knowledge which the planter didn't have. On the thermal side, now you see most of our dryers have got air heaters, and the fuel is firewood. They taught us, you must split your firewood. If you split your firewood, you're reducing moisture by 30%. How much of extra fuel efficiency you're getting. They guided us on the size of the firewood. Then they advised us how to install the ID fan temperature regulator, you see, so that we could show that the flue gases which leave are wasted are not excessive. So in this way, TIDE has really helped us overall to reduce our costs in the factory by at least about 10%.
Energy conservation is nothing but 80% common sense and 20% technical sense. The 80% common sense was there with every one of us, and the 20% technical sense was provided by the TIDE project, which resulted in, as you could see, wonderful results.
It is a classic example of NGO, government and the industry working together, a tripartite kind of intervention.
This project in particular has been able to reduce the carbon dioxide to the extent of 50,000 tons. It's during the project period itself, even ahead of the project deadline. It has almost made the interventions in more than 200 tea processing units against the targeted number of 30 model units. The project also envisaged an investment of about $1.5 million from these tea processing units, the private investments. But it has resulted in investments of over $3.5 million.
People have understood. The difference was we have made people understand how important it is to conserve electricity in an energy deficient and energy starved country like India.
Reasons for the success, according to me, as far as this project is concerned, I would say that the technical expertise we have in this project partnership, one is from TIDE and also the UNDP, its monitoring and tea board's patronage, and the industry, tea industry, has got lots of faith in tea board, so that also played a very important role.
We have been used to in-house experts. So the fact that you had outsiders who came in, experts in their own field, but probably didn't know that much about tea at that stage, and so you could get the best of both worlds. They could bring their experience of other industries and of the subject, and whereas they studied the tea industry, I mean, it worked both ways.
I have to appreciate the role of UNDP and GEF and also the support of Anna University, the people who have made it possible to bring in a leadership in the community.
This is a success story built together. But this is just a beginning. The project believes that there is a long way to go.
My advice to TIDE is don't only stick to the tea factories. Today, irrigation has become a very, very important aspect in agriculture, especially in where the non-rainy months, where it's about 4, 5, 6 months. So all our planters are concentrating on irrigation. Now there's a tremendous scope for energy saving in irrigation. So TIDE can look into that and help the planter.
The project has built a confidence among the partners and stakeholders. It has really changed the old mindsets. The sector is now ready for any challenges.
We have 2,000 factories in tea industry and 200 factories success story is available to us.
Tea is a green industry. With the adoption of these new findings, it will go further green.
The modern futuristic approach of energy conservation have shown the tea industry a prosperous path. Global thinking will mark the name of Indian tea industry on the world map.
The tea industry has seen difficult times. God forbid it should not see that experience again. But even if it does, the lessons of sustainability and good environmental practices will be with them. This is a success story and we are happy to be a small part of it.